Hey guys, today I'm doing an eyeshadow tutorial for you on this look that is on my face right now, and I'm using the new Natasha Denona Lila palette. This is going to be a permanent palette to her collection, and it's really beautiful purples and pinks and golds, and I really wanted to do a tutorial with it, so that's what we're doing today. So let's just hop into it. So I'm going to start out with the Becca Velvet Blurring Primer. This is just a really nice, lightweight, pore-filling primer. It's become a huge favorite. And for my foundation today, I'm going to be using the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir. This is in the shade 610. So I probably use about 2 pumps worth on my whole face. I prefer this with a beauty blender over a brush. It just gives a little bit of a nicer finish. This is kind of great for people with dry skin and really nice for people with oily skin, as long as it's not like 30 degrees outside. With this type of look, I just prefer a really glowy base, like glowy skin. So this is a favorite when it comes to that. I'm just gonna color correct my under eye circles using the Urban Decay Naked Skin Color Corrector in Peach. And today I'm going to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This isn't like, it's medium to full coverage, but again, I don't want to have like really cakey face today, so it does give me a little bit more of a natural finish. A lot of the time with a dramatic look, I would probably do my eyeshadow first, especially if I know there's a lot of fallout. But for this look, I want the outer edge to be a little bit more blown out. So instead of doing eyeshadow first or use tape, which is a little bit harsh, I'm going to put a lot of loose powder underneath my eyes to catch any fallout, and that way I can kind of blow out the edge, you know, over top my foundation. I don't have to do my foundation afterwards. So I'm going to use the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'm just going to heavily put that underneath my eye, and that way it will also bake my concealer while I'm doing my eyeshadow. And the other thing I'm going to do is take any type of brush that has a flat edge. So I'm going to use the side of this one. And same thing, I'm going to heavily pick up that powder and just kind of draw on a line as if it was a cat eye. What this is going to do is not allow the eyeshadow really to go past that point. So it's kind of like the tape method in that, but it gives a little bit more of a diffused, blown out look than tape does. So I just prime my eyes with MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and then I just set the rest of my foundation with the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat powder. Now, this is the palette I'm going to be using today. It's the Natasha Denona Lila palette. It's quite beautiful. I've used this now, this will be the fourth time I'm using it. And I've tried to get a few different looks out of it. My main issue with this palette is that there's no good transition shade. So you've got a couple mattes here. You've got 4 mattes in the whole palette. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And to me, these two are almost exactly identical. One is just slightly darker than the other. And this is the lightest, no, this is actually lighter. This is the lightest shade in the palette, and it's actually still quite dark. So that's my big complaint, which is not really a big complaint in the scheme of things. So what I'm going to do is just take Makeup Geek's Peach Smoothie, and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. I'm sure all of you have something similar in your collection if you have this palette that you could use instead of something out of that palette. So I'm just going to take this, just a nice peachy tone shade, and I'm going to put that above my creases. This is how I do it because I actually have a lot of space between the top of my eyeball and like the bottom of my brow bone. So instead of putting transition directly in my crease, I put it slightly above. It's just how I figured out I need to do things. And this is a really big fluffy brush. This is a Chikuhodo GSN 20. Nope, GSN 10. This is an awesome blending brush, and when you hear Chikuhodo, you might be like intimidated, but this brush is actually not that expensive. It's about the same as MAC pricing, and it's just an excellent blending brush. And also there's no brow bone shade in the Lila palette, so again, just find another brow bone shade that works for you. This is just the Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics, and I just hit pan on it today. I am so super excited. I hit pan on it when I was setting my eyeshadow primer with it. So I am so happy to finally hit pan on this palette. Okay, that is the extent to which we're going to use any other colors. Every other color is going to come from this palette. So I'm going to go into this matte right here, which is actually called Nude Mauve. I'm going to put this on a matte 217 brush, which is just like a typical medium-sized blending brush. And I'm going to put this directly into the crease. So before, where I did the transition shade above my crease, this one I am putting into the crease, starting with the most color right on the outer edge and then working my way in, but I am going to take the color all the way over. And on the outer edge, for any shadow I'm about to use, when I get to the edge, I'm just going to make soft flicking motions to do that kind of blown out look that I was talking about. Okay, I've just moved you in a little bit closer so you can see better. Even though there are no like pinks or purple mattes in here, I'm still going to use this in my crease, this shade right in the middle. And just, this is a Beauty Junkies Pro Blending brush, but it's the same as a MAC 217. This is the shade Magnetic, and I'm just going to make sure to tap off your brush to get any excess off. That's going to help not overloading your eye with too much product. And it's also going to help so that you don't have as much fallout. So I'm going to put this in the exact same areas that I put that Nude Mauve shade, but I'm just going to put it just slightly lower. So again, starting on the outer edge so I get the most product there, and then working my way in, but I am going to take it all the way over. And here's where I start feeling like I really need to step up my blending game. So I'm just taking the previous brush I used with that Nude Mauve shade, no extra product on it, and just blending them together. So putting it a little bit higher than where I put that pink shade, just the slightest, like millimeter higher, just so that I can blow it out. I don't want to take it like really high up my eye, right? So you could see, I think, just in doing that, how much difference it made to blending it. For the next shade I'm going to be using a much pointier, smaller blending brush. This is a Sigma E45, and I'm going to go into this kind of bluish purple color right here. It's called Amethyst. And what I want to do with this is kind of draw on that V shape right in my outer V area, and then just kind of blend it inward. So the most product is going to go on the outer edge, and then I just kind of blend it inward like this. I do kind of want to pack on a lot of color, so I might go in 1 or 2 different times until I can work it up to the shade that I really want. Don't worry that it doesn't look blended yet. Of course, that's always the second step. First is apply the color, second is blend it out. And then for the main shade, I'm gonna go into this gold right here, which is really, really beautiful color. It's called Magnolia. I'm gonna use a flat synthetic brush. This is the MAC 242. Honestly, my favorite brush ever for packing color all over the lid. So I'm just gonna take that on there and just put it on that open lid space and meet it up to that purple. I also want that pink in my crease to still show a little bit through, so I don't want to take it up too far. I just want to kind of meet it right there. So this is kind of looking a little bit of a mess right now because I've got all this powder with fallout on it. I've got the 2 shades that aren't blended yet. So right now I'm just going to focus on making sure everything is really nicely blended. I'm going to start with kind of melding these 2 together. I just take my brush and kind of go back and forth, up and down, very, very super lightly. I don't want to take either color too far over into the other one. And if you feel like you've lost any intensity from blending, you can always go in with a little bit more product. So that's what I'm doing with this Amethyst shade right now. Just adding a little bit more on the outer edge and then bringing it in just barely. I just did my eyebrows and I wiped away all that powder. When I was doing the Amethyst color, somehow it made its way underneath my lash line, which I would have done anyway. I would have put that right on the outer, about almost half, about 1/3. So that's there, and just blend it out a little bit. I'm gonna go into that middle pink shade called Magnetic on a little bit of a fluffy but small brush. And I'm just gonna take that the rest of the way across the lower lash line. And then going back into Nude Mauve, And I'm just going to use that to blend everything out on the bottom there. So I've just done my winged liner, and by the way, I do have an in-depth tutorial on how I do winged liner, so I'll link to that below. It's just in a long video like this, I don't want to spend forever going through it. And same thing with my eyebrows, I just did how I do my everyday eyebrows video too, so I'll link to both of those. Now I'm going to bronze my face. I'm using the Becca Sunlit Bronzer, and this is in the shade Bali Sands, and I'm using my favorite bronzer brush, which is from Beauty Junkies. It's the Pro Duo Fiber brush. I just really like this shade because it's very light. It's not crazy. It doesn't look orange. It just warms up the skin a little bit. It does have a little bit of sheen to it, but it's not like sparkle. I'm going to lightly contour with the City Color Contour Effects 2, and I'm using the contour shade in there. This stuff is super pigmented, like literally. I would only need one pan to last me a lifetime. So just lightly contour my cheekbones. A good everyday kind of light blush for fall. This is Fetish from Urban Decay. It's their Afterglow blush. It's just kind of like a light mauve, not too deep, very neutral. And I'm highlighting today with this. This is from Lancome. It's the Dual Finish Highlighter in the shade Sparkling Peach. Applying it with a brush gives it a really, really kind of diffused look. So first I go in with the brush, and then I'm just gonna take my pinky finger and take just a slight amount on there and tap it gently on the highest point, just to give it a little bit more of a pop. And that's how I really like to use that. And then just go back in and blend that out slightly. While I do my lashes, I'm just going to be baking my face here just to give my contour a little bit of a chiseled out look. Or a little bit more chiseled out than it was. So for lashes today, I'm going to be using the Ardell Faux Mink Lashes in number 810. I'm just going to apply a little bit of mascara. This is the Maybelline Colossal Big Shot to the top lashes. A few of you have asked me about the tool I use. This is from Japanesque. It's just an eyelash applicator. I got it off of Amazon. I'll try to find it and link to it in the description bar below. Before I set my face, I'm going to wipe away this powder because honestly, I've done it too many times where I've forgotten to wipe away the powder and then put on setting spray. So just a little tip. I don't know if it recorded this, something stopped working, but I am using the Bare Minerals Statement Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Devious and the BH Cosmetics Lip Liner in the shade Rouge. So I think I like it a little bit more for fall with a bolder lip, but you can definitely do like a nude glossy lip or like a neutral lip with this look. There's actually a lot of ways you can take it.